For decades, the galaxy had been consumed by war. The Varnak Empire and the coalition of Threx had fought relentlessly, their battles tearing through star systems, shattering worlds, and leaving nothing but ashes in their wake. When the peace treaty was finally signed, it felt like a fragile dream, a whisper of hope amid the ruins of countless civilizations. The war had ended, but its scars ran deep. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with both relief and mourning. In this uneasy quiet, no one expected anything new. The survivors, veterans, leaders, and civilians alike, were focused on rebuilding what had been lost. Ships were repaired, cities slowly rose from rubble, and diplomats worked tirelessly to ensure the fragile peace would last. The galaxy seemed ready to turn the page. But then, from the far edges of known space, a strange signal appeared. It was faint at first, barely detectable by the Coalition's listening posts. The Varnak intercepted it too, and their scientists struggled to identify its origin. The signal wasn't in any known alien language or format. It was human. Humans had vanished years earlier, swallowed by the chaos of war. Earth, the birthplace of humanity, had been bombarded until it was little more than a glowing ruin. The species was presumed extinct, erased from the galaxy's memory like a forgotten ghost. So when the signal pulsed again, clearer this time, it sent ripples through every corner of the galaxy. Questions spread like wildfire. How were humans alive? Where had they been hiding? And what did their return mean? A Coalition scout ship was dispatched to investigate, crossing the black void toward an unremarkable planet on the edge of the system. Drokar 7. The scouts expected to find ruins, perhaps scattered survivors clinging to the last shreds of hope. Instead, what they discovered was astonishing. The humans on Drokar 7 were not defeated. They were not broken. Instead, they had rebuilt, quietly, fiercely, and without fanfare. Underground complexes thrived with technology scavenged from the war's wreckage, repurposed and improved beyond anything the aliens had seen. Human voices spoke with calm confidence, their eyes holding the weight of survival and something deeper, an unshakable resolve. The scout captain reported back, stunned. These were not the desperate remnants of a lost race. They were a new force, one born from ashes, but tempered by years of endurance. And they had a message. The humans did not seek war. They did not come to conquer. Instead, they came with a question. What is peace worth if it forgets the cost? As the Coalition and Varnak leaders debated how to respond, one thing became clear. The war had ended for everyone else. But for the humans, the story was only just beginning. For many in the galaxy, humanity was little more than a tragic footnote, a species crushed early in the war, believed wiped out by overwhelming force. The Varnak and Coalition had each claimed responsibility, passing the blame like a hot coal. Earth had become a symbol of failure and loss, a reminder of what even the strongest empires could not prevent. When the Coalition scout ship touched down on Drokar 7, the aliens expected to find little beyond dusty ruins or faint echoes of a long-dead race. What they found instead was a thriving human colony. The humans who greeted the alien crew were different from anything the galaxy had imagined. They were survivors, yes, but they were also innovators, masters of adaptation. Their underground city was a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers, built deep beneath Drokar 7's rocky surface to protect against the constant threat of patrols and war remnants. Their technology was an uncanny mix of scavenged alien equipment and uniquely human inventions. Weapons and ships used stealth technology that baffled Coalition engineers, while medical systems healed wounds faster than anything else in the galaxy. Their ships were smaller but swifter, their soldiers quieter but fiercer. When asked why they had hidden for so long, a human commander spoke with calm clarity. We were left for dead. The galaxy forgot us, but we did not forget ourselves. The aliens learned that after Earth's destruction, many humans had scattered across distant star systems, some captured or killed, others fleeing into the unknown. Those who survived became wanderers, their numbers dwindling with each passing year. But on Drokar 7, a group of survivors established a hidden stronghold. They trained their children in secrecy, teaching them not only how to survive, but how to endure with purpose. The humans did not seek vengeance in blind rage. Instead, they studied the factions that had torn the galaxy apart. They learned their tactics, their weaknesses, and their politics. Most importantly, they remembered every betrayal, every broken promise, and every life lost. For decades, the humans waited. They watched the fragile peace unfold from the shadows. But the memory of Earth's destruction remained a burning ember in their hearts. Now that ember was beginning to glow into something far stronger. The coalition envoy who met with the human leader was cautious but intrigued. "Why reveal yourselves now? The war is over." The human replied, "The war may have ended for you, but for us it was never truly finished. Our survival was not a defeat, it was preparation." Across the room, coalition officers exchanged uneasy glances. The humans were no longer the weak prey everyone had written off. They had become something new, a force shaped by loss, yet unbroken by it. Whispers spread quickly through the coalition and Varnak ranks. Who were these humans, really? What was their next move? And most unsettling of all, what did it mean for a galaxy that thought it had finally seen the last of war? As the envoy left Drokar 7, the humans watched from their hidden vantage points. They had no illusions about the challenges ahead, but one truth burned bright. The forgotten species had returned. And this time, they would not be ignored. The truth about humanity's survival was buried deep beneath years of silence. Through recovered logs, old recordings, and whispered stories, the galaxy began to understand the terrible journey humans had endured. Earth, once a shining beacon in the galaxy, had become a battlefield for alien powers. The Varnak and Coalition, locked in bitter conflict, saw Earth as a prize and a target. Neither side wanted to admit responsibility for the devastation, but both had left scars that could never be erased. The war's brutal assault had destroyed cities, scorched forests, and turned oceans into toxic wastelands. Billions perished in a single generation. Entire generations grew up knowing only loss and fear, yet humanity did not surrender. Survivors fled into hiding. Deep underground bunkers, remote colonies, and secret space stations. Some were captured, others died trying to escape, but many held on. They carried with them memories of a homeworld lost and a promise whispered across the ashes. "We will endure." Those memories shaped every choice. From the youngest child raised in the shelters of Drokar 7 to the hardened commanders who planned in secret, every human was taught the same lesson. Survival was not enough. They had to remember, learn, and prepare. Among the logs recovered from the ruins of Earth were chilling accounts of betrayal. Allies turned enemies, agreements broken in the name of power. The humans had been pawns in a war that neither side cared to end quickly. Their destruction was a message, a warning to all who dared stand between the great empires. But the humans were not broken. They used their pain as fuel. Over decades, they studied alien technology salvaged from battlefields and downed ships. They reverse-engineered weapons, shields, and engines, blending alien science with human ingenuity. They developed new tactics that relied not on brute force, but on adaptability and precision. Yet beneath their advancements lay a quiet promise. Never forget what was lost. Every human knew the names of those who had fallen. Every face was a reminder that peace meant nothing without justice. Despite their efforts, the galaxy had moved on. The Varnak and coalition leaders celebrated the peace treaty, blind to the slow awakening of a species they had nearly erased. The human silence was their strength, a patient wait before the storm. Now, as humans revealed themselves on Drokar 7, that terrible memory was no longer buried. It was alive, driving their every step. The human leader, speaking in a voice calm but filled with steel, told the coalition envoy, "We remember every attack, every betrayal, every life lost. The war may be over for you. For us, it is only just beginning. For the first time, the galaxy faced the truth. Humanity was not a broken relic of the past. It was a living force, shaped by pain and ready to reclaim its place. The question was no longer if humans would return, but how the galaxy would survive their arrival. The humans' return sent ripples through the political centers of the galaxy. Envoys from Drokar 7 arrived at both the Varnak Empire and the coalition of Threx, bearing not weapons, but demands, reparations, accountability, and justice for the destruction of Earth and the countless human lives lost. At first, the alien leaders scoffed. The war was over, they said. Peace had been declared. Why dredge up old wounds? The humans were weak, a broken species clinging to shadows. There was no reason to listen to demands from those long thought extinct. But the humans were calm. Their voices carried the weight of history and the promise of consequence. They did not beg or threaten. They simply stated facts, names of commanders responsible for Earth's devastation, details of battles that had been covered up or forgotten, and the cost exacted on humanity. We do not seek war, the human envoy said. We seek acknowledgement. We seek balance. The Varnak Emperor's council laughed. You demand justice from those who forged peace with blood and fire. You are fools to believe anyone will answer. The coalition's leaders were no kinder. You are relics, remnants of a lost time. This galaxy moves forward without you. But the humans had no illusions. They expected dismissal. They had waited for decades, hidden and prepared. This was not a moment of negotiation. It was a moment of truth. As the days passed, the galaxy's old powers dismissed the warnings. They focused on rebuilding, on securing their borders, and on celebrating peace. They ignored the quiet movements beneath the surface, the hidden fleets, the secret outposts, the steady gathering of a force once forgotten. The humans had made their first demand, and it was ignored. But they would not ask twice. Beneath the veneer of diplomacy, the humans were readying themselves. Their ships moved in silence, their soldiers trained for precision strikes. Every action had a purpose, each one aimed at those who had once thought them weak and powerless. In the vast emptiness of space, patience was a weapon, and the humans wielded it with deadly skill. The galaxy believed the war had ended, but the humans knew the truth. Peace for some was only the calm before the storm. They did not seek to conquer or dominate. Their goal was simple and clear, to remind the galaxy that survival carried a price, and debts unpaid would be collected. As the alien leaders dismissed their demands, the humans prepared to show them the cost of forgetting. The galaxy had celebrated the fragile peace for months, yet beneath that fragile calm, something was stirring. Coalition supply ships vanished without warning, slipping into the dark void where no distress signals followed. Varnak communication networks faltered mysteriously. Their encrypted messages scrambled beyond recognition. Panic began to spread quietly through command centers, whispers of sabotage and infiltration. No one could explain how it happened. Fleet after fleet disappeared or fell silent without a fight, as if the war had reignited from nowhere. But it wasn't chaos or random attacks. The strikes were surgical, targeted with chilling precision. Every loss had a reason, every hit a message. The humans were back. Their ships appeared like ghosts, slipping through defenses like shadows, smaller, faster, and equipped with technology that baffled enemy sensors. They operated in complete silence. Their weapons were unlike anything the Varnak or Coalition had encountered, firing bursts of energy that disrupted systems without destroying infrastructure, disabling rather than killing. These attacks weren't acts of revenge or conquest. They were calculated, deliberate. Every target was linked to commanders and officials who had played roles in Earth's destruction. The humans were reclaiming justice, piece by piece. In battle rooms across the galaxy, commanders pored over intelligence, desperate to find a pattern or weakness. But the humans never struck randomly. They waited. They watched. Then they struck at the exact moment, in the exact way that would send a clear message. They remembered. The galaxy was unprepared for this return. Years of peace had dulled their vigilance. The humans, however, had never let their guard down. Their fleet was a well-oiled machine, fueled by years of preparation and an unbreakable will. Despite the shock, the humans were careful not to escalate into full war. Their strikes avoided civilian casualties, their warnings broadcast openly after each attack. "We are not here to conquer," their messages said. "We are here to settle the debt." For the Varnak and coalition leaders, this was a nightmare. The war had ended, yet here was a new conflict born from the ashes. But for the humans, it was justice served cold, a reckoning long overdue. The galaxy watched, torn between fear and fascination. The humans, thought lost, had returned not as victims but as judges, and the balance of power was shifting. The question that haunted every council was no longer if the humans would strike again, but where and when. The galaxy was gripped by a growing sense of unease. The human strikes were no longer just isolated incidents. They had become a pattern, a relentless reminder that the forgotten species was alive and far stronger than anyone had imagined. The Varnak and coalition scrambled to respond. Fleets were deployed, patrols increased, and security protocols tightened. Yet, despite all efforts, the humans remained elusive, ghosts in the sky. Their ships moved with uncanny speed and precision, slipping past sensors and ambushes as if they bent space itself. Coalition scientists pored over the wreckage of downed human craft, desperate to understand the technology that allowed such stealth and maneuverability. The answers were elusive, buried in layers of innovation that combined alien science with human genius. On planets scared by war, old human colonies flickered back to life. Drokar 7, once a hidden refuge, became a rallying point. Banners bearing the emblem of Earth's enduring spirit flew proudly in underground cities and secret bases. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer a lost species but a force reborn. Across the galaxy, those who had dismissed the humans as insignificant now faced a harsh truth. The species they had thought extinct was not only surviving, they were thriving, growing stronger with every passing day. Rumors spread of human operatives infiltrating political centers, gathering intelligence, and striking silently at corrupt officials. Stories told of elite human soldiers who could appear and vanish like shadows, striking down enemies without a trace. Panic began to ripple through the Varnak and coalition ranks. How could a species that had been nearly erased wield such power? How could they move so swiftly and silently? The answer was simple. Humans had adapted. Their years in hiding had sharpened their instincts, honed their technology, and strengthened their resolve. They had become masters of survival in ways the galaxy had never seen. Where others relied on overwhelming force, humans relied on cunning, speed, and precision. As fear grew, some factions called for immediate retaliation. Others pleaded for diplomacy, hoping to avoid another devastating conflict. But the humans remained focused, their goal unwavering. They did not seek war. They sought justice. The galaxy was learning, too late, that the humans were not just survivors of a forgotten war. They were the reckoning itself, a living reminder that those who are written off too soon may return with a force impossible to ignore. The sky, once silent and peaceful, now held shadows moving with deadly intent. The ghosts in the sky had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The quiet that had settled over the galaxy since the war's end was shattered, not by grand battles or blazing warships, but by whispers, rumors, and sudden, precise strikes. The humans had become an enigma wrapped in resolve, their every move calculated and purposeful. The Varnak and coalition leaders found themselves grappling with a force they had never truly understood. In the heart of the coalition's capital, tensions rose sharply. The human envoy's demands echoed through the marble halls of power, forcing reluctant leaders to confront their past actions. Some saw humanity's return as an opportunity for reconciliation, while others feared it as the prelude to renewed conflict. A clandestine meeting was held beneath the city, where coalition generals debated the threat humanity posed. "We cannot fight shadows," one said bitterly. "Their technology outmatches ours. Their tactics are unlike anything we faced." Across the Empire, the Varnak prepared for the worst. Fleet commanders demanded more resources, their fleets doubling patrols around key systems. Yet every attempt to trap or engage the humans ended in frustration. The humans anticipated their moves, slipping through the cracks of even the most complex defenses. Meanwhile, the humans continued to build their strength, not through open war, but through unity and quiet preparation. In hidden bases, they trained their soldiers, refined their technology, and expanded their network of allies. Every human, from the youngest recruit to the oldest commander, shared a single purpose: to make sure the galaxy never again forgot the price of war. But not all humans agreed on how to proceed. Some argued for direct confrontation, pushing to take the fight to the Varnak and coalition. Others counseled patience, believing their greatest strength lay in restraint and careful strategy. In a rare moment of tension, these differences came to light during a council meeting in Drokar 7's underground chamber. Voices rose, emotions flared, and for a moment, it seemed the fragile unity might fracture. Yet in the end, they chose a path of balance. They would continue to press for justice and recognition, but avoid provoking full-scale war. They knew their power was growing, but so was the danger of becoming what they once fought against. As the humans prepared their next moves, the galaxy washed with growing unease. The silence of peace was broken, and in its place was the hum of a storm gathering strength. The question on everyone's mind was no longer if the humans had returned, but what would happen when they finally decided to speak loud enough for all to hear. The fragile peace the galaxy had clung to for so long was about to shatter. The humans, long thought lost, had made their presence undeniable. Their message was clear: justice would be served, and the past could not be ignored. On the surface of Drokar 7, beneath the pale light of distant stars, human leaders gathered one final time. The debate was no longer about whether to fight or wait. It was about how to ensure their voice would finally be heard. The humans knew the galaxy's old powers would never willingly admit their crimes or pay their debts. Yet they also understood the cost of all-out war, another cycle of death that could consume billions more. So they chose a different path, a reckoning not born from conquest, but from strength and resolve. Their next move was to reveal themselves openly, not as shadows or whispers, but as a united species reclaiming their place in the galaxy. Ships once hidden in the void assembled in massive fleets, their emblems bright and undeniable. Messages broadcast to every major system, demanding truth, apology, and reparations. The Varnak and coalition leaders could no longer ignore the humans. Their carefully constructed peace was fragile and flawed. The humans were no longer victims. They were a force demanding change. Some factions within the old powers resisted fiercely. Warships deployed to block human fleets, diplomats shouted warnings, and old grudges flared anew. But the humans' preparation and determination were unmatched. In a historic moment, human envoys stood before the great councils of both empires. They spoke not with anger, but with the weight of truth. "We have returned from the ashes not to conquer, but to be recognized," the human leader declared. "Peace without justice is not peace at all. We ask only what is rightfully ours: acknowledgement, reparations, and a chance to rebuild together." The galaxy listened, some with resentment, others with respect. Many feared what the humans represented, a reminder of past mistakes and the price of forgetting. Yet, amidst tension and uncertainty, a new chapter began. Dialogues opened that had been impossible for decades. Old wounds, painful and raw, began to heal slowly through honest reckoning. The war had ended years ago, but the humans' arrival reminded the galaxy that peace is not just the absence of conflict, it is the presence of justice. And in that truth, hope was born.